Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Sit back and listen to interviews, discussion about books, and anything else literary. There's always something or someone new on the show. Good evening, listeners. Good evening, listeners. I'm Amy, and welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Today we are joined by an author, so please introduce yourself and let the audience know how they can connect with you.
Hi, I'm Brett McKay. I write thrillers and horror. I love suspense. You can find me on brettmckaybooks.com. BRETTMCKAYBOOKS.com.
Sounds great. And that information will also be in the description of this podcast. So they can connect directly with you, your website, your Amazon page, or link to whatever book you're going to talk about. So what book are you going to talk about?
Well, I might as well talk about the newest one. It just came out on Monday the 8th. So I'll just kind of show the book right here. The Devil's Dance. And this is something that you, Amy, just finished reading as well. And sounds like you really liked it. This one is my 7th published novel. Yes, lucky number 7.
Well, that's great. I mean, it was an awesome book. So, and then I had just recently, prior to that, I had read, what was it, The 8 Realms of Hell or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Did I get that name right?
The 8 Realms of Hell?
Yeah, I'm surprised I remember the titles. I read so many.
Oh, no. That's fun because I've been getting into writing screenplays again. I did it a long time ago, but I just decided to kind of get into it, submit it to festivals and different things and see if I can I've been getting some nibbles on it. We'll see what happens.
Well, that's good. I mean, you don't know unless you try.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm spinning around my own genres, what I used to write and then what I'm going to focus on now. But, you never know until you try.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I always preach to let people know. Just never give up. I've been writing since I was 12 years old, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
good.
But for me, it's a necessity. I really need to write. If I don't, it's just like, I don't feel.
I know exactly how you feel. Before I could write and when I could talk, I just told stories. My mom called me her little storyteller because I would make up my own stories or I would rewrite the books that they would read me. And then once I started learning how to write, I just never stopped.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it's interesting for me to read what I wrote as a teenager years ago, and then what I write now. I mean, I still write poetry, and of course, when you're a teenager and everything is doomsday, so I have a lot of dark poetry.
Yeah, sometimes I look back at some of the stuff I've written because I've kept them all. I mean, back then, I really had an old-fashioned clickety-clack typewriter.
Me too.
Probably drove my family crazy just clicking away at that. But yeah, I still have all of those manuscripts, and back then, and I was trying to get things published, and I'd submit them in the old-fashioned way, snail mail.
Yep.
And getting rejection after rejection, and I was so disappointed back then. But now looking at them, I'm like, oh yeah, they're not. Kind of glad that didn't get published. It needs a lot of work. There's a couple of things good in it. I like the story, but yeah, it's not until, most recently when I started publishing books and I got with Redadet Publishing House. Mm-hmm. They're a great group of people, great writers to bounce things off of. We help each other.
That's great.
And then, of course, they have just a fantastic line of editors. And I know my books would not be near as good without line editors going through everything, as well as content editor. And, they just help you make your book better the way you want it.
Yeah, I do that for several authors that can't afford a high price editor.
Oh yeah.
I do it based off of what they can afford. Because not everybody can do that. And I understand it because
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that for a long time, but I always made sure I had other eyes on it. So
And that's the important thing is that you get somebody else's eyes on it, point of view, someone that's going to be honest anyway. And
yeah. Not your mom, but
yeah,
well,
my
unless
mom
your
always.
mom's, oh, it's beautiful.
I know she's always supportive, and yeah, my mom, there's a couple of things I write, and I'm like, yeah, mom, you don't need to write that one. I don't know. I
Yeah.
know it's not her genre, but
Yeah. My grandmother, was the same way. I'm like, okay, this is for you and you can read my poems, but you can't read this because of something that you don't want to know about, Graham.
you'll think your son is disturbed now.
Yeah, it's a good thing that, our Google searches aren't, maybe they are tracked, but I'm sure that they
You
would be
never know.
very
I wouldn't put
interesting.
past anybody, but yeah, if they were, oh, he's searching guns and what type of guns and
Yeah.
how
What
does
kind
this
of
work?
poison leaves no trace?
Yeah. Like in this book, well, um, I wanted to use some specific guns. The main character in it is an ex-SWAT sniper,
Yeah.
so I really wanted to keep that as authentic as possible. And I have a friend writer. He writes other thrillers, Scott Bell, and he lives in Texas. And he's a gun enthusiast.
Hmm.
So I wrote him. He actually pre-read it for me too, and he just gave me a lot of tips on what kind of gun would be best and how one like a sniper would use it. And so yeah, I really enjoy that. So
No, that's great because I mean a lot of times that writers they should research what they're putting in or
yeah,
and making it doesn't have to be realistic, but it has to make sense.
yeah,
And
research
if
is
if somebody read your book and you didn't put in the right guns and they were a gun enthusiast, they're not going to read any more of your work.
right. Yeah, there's always something you don't know that might trip somebody up and get them out of the flow of reading, and that's ultimately what you don't want to do is any kind of stumbling blocks that just break people's concentration reading.
Yeah, exactly.
And research, it can be a lot of work. And like diving into this one, it has a lot to do with Native Americans, Paiutes in particular.
Mm.
And that was really scary for me to write. I'm like, should I really? I don't want to offend. I don't want to get things wrong. And I did as much research as I could. And I wanted to pay as much homage to Native Americans as
Right.
much as possible as well. And so yeah, even a friend writer mine was like, "What are you doing?" So, I can't help it. I actually had a dream one time when it came from a nightmare that I had, and I just had to start writing it. So you never know what you can start writing something, and if it doesn't take off, you you know might not never ever get back to it. But this one, I had a full story idea for it, so
That's
this
great.
worked really good. And um, yeah, so hopefully it resonates really well and not in a bad way. And I'm
Oh,
such a
it's
big fan
really
of
good.
westerns. I've grown up with westerns, and this is very much like a modern day western where it takes
Yeah,
its place in the southern mountains of Utah. I live in Utah, so that was kind of fun.
I like that. I do. Like a John Wayne or Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
I love
Oh yeah.
that. Love those old ones. Uh, but yeah, I mean, so a dream kind of inspired this. Do dreams inspire you a lot?
They do, surprisingly. And
Actually,
I
mine
have
do too.
seen,
That's why I asked because I'm so
yeah,
curious. I keep a notebook by my bed, so if I
yes,
wake up, I can write it down before I forget.
yeah. And me, I've been turning around, grab my phone, and I will just email myself, I'll just type it out
Hmm.
just roughly. And some dreams are like, oh man, that was so realistic and scary. That would be a great story. And then when you wake up the next day and you kind of revisit it, you're like, oh, that's corny.
That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, but this one was like the whole scene in it where the bad group, Tocho's group comes in and they're robbing that grocery store.
Yeah.
That was what was in one of my dreams, and it was really detailed, and it went for a long time. I thought, wow, I really like where that's going, and that's kind of where it all stemmed from.
That's great. Because a lot of times the characters tell you which way to go.
Yeah.
And setting also plays a big part in how people would react, so if you throw say an Eskimo or Alaskan American in the middle of Arizona, you will get something totally different than somebody that's familiar with that. So,
and a seminar that I took from I can't remember his name, but he's a pretty well known sci-fi writer, and he's actually helped a lot of big writers like Brandon Sanderson and people like that.
mm-hmm.
And I took one of his courses, and he was talking about settings in particular. And he says you got to have a sexy setting, whatever it is, if it's in the bayous or it's somewhere in Europe or just somewhere cool that that really attracts people and puts them in a different place. So I always have to try and remember that. Sometimes I put things in places that I'm familiar with, and maybe it's not that sexy, but
oh no,
this one I think it is. It's those canyons.
Everything just seemed to it all fit together, and it made sense, and you could just really relate to the characters, whether they were a villain or a protagonist. It didn't matter. It was just one of those stories that I couldn't put down till I was finished.
Oh, thank you.
And then I went back and I had to write notes. Because sometimes that happens. A book is so good because whenever I read, I can speed read. That's how I get a lot of books done. But I always take notes as I'm going along. But sometimes, and I've done this with editing work too, that the story is so good that I'll read it all the way through, and then I go back and do edits or take notes or something, because I just don't want to stop reading it. It's that good. So when it's that good, it's 5 or 5 plus.
I wondered how you get through books so fast. I am a slow reader. I'm just terrible at it. I do a lot of audibles now, and I do read at night and stuff, but I just have always been a slow reader, and I could probably write faster than I read.
Yeah, I think in some ways I can do that too. My eyes are going, but I enjoy it, and not all the books that I read are 200 pages. Some of them I read children's books, and they're like, they could be 6 pages or 30 pages. So sometimes I try to get in a bunch together, a lot of short ones and things like that. But I just think that it's important for authors to have somebody they can rely on to be honest with them. And let people know.
Yeah.
Because when I started in 2014, but when I try to get some reviews from so-called professional reviewers, and sent my book in, and they never said anything back. And then like a year later, I saw this review on one of my books, and I was like, oh, so they did post a review. But, it was like you never had communication. And I always want to make sure that I call them my authors. You're all my authors. That you get the best that I can do. And if I can't do something, I try to find somebody who can do it for you.
Yeah. Well, that's really appreciated. You've always been really great with me, and I really appreciate how you do that, and what you do for writers. I think is a great thing. Anything that anyone can do to they help the writing world because we're not all as successful as Stephen King, not even close.
Yeah, I know.
We're successful enough to even just make this our main job to to pay all the bills, but it is still important. I think one of the most exciting things for me is not even when the book is released is that all that exciting for me, but when I start getting reviews, that there's nothing better than a review, especially from someone that you don't know that's halfway around the world.
Yep.
And they loved your book and they described certain elements about it that they got and understood. You're like, oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's our reward.
Yeah, somebody bought my book and they wrote a review.
Yeah.
Because those things don't go hand in hand, because I've seen like my own sales and they don't match the reviews. So people still don't know how important it is. But I try to tell people, because if you're going to buy a car, you would do your research about that car, and also, kind of look to see, what people are saying that own the car. And so I personally don't read reviews of someone's book until after I've read the book, but that's just because I don't want it to cloud my review, because I'm definitely going to do that. But afterwards, if there's reviews there, I'll read them and see what other people think, but I just don't do it beforehand. But if I'm buying any other product or a book that I just want to read, I'll read the reviews for that, because I just want to read the book. So I buy books for reviewing, books for research, and just books that I like to read.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I don't really go look at the reviews, but when I'm looking at a book, it does say 758 reviews, average of 4.8 stars, whatever. That's very attractive. That does let you know that, the majority of people are liking this.
Yeah. I also when I see that there's a lot of 5-star reviews and that's it, that makes me curious.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Because not everybody, I have a set of standards of how I determine and what reviews are. And I even this year I added a 5+ stars, because you can't, so I make sure that's known.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I don't know, it just seems too good to be true. And I've also seen authors that will write their own review.
No.
Like, really? How do you not see this? That is, of course, you're not going to say, oh yeah, I'm going to give my book 3 stars.
Amazon will catch it.
Yeah, I know. And I just personally, I think that is just unethical. It's one thing.
It is unethical, yeah.
If you want to write a note in some other area, you don't do it in the review part. Because people are going to say, oh yeah, they're going to look at that and know that you're the author, and they're like, I ain't going to read that book. She thinks too much of herself. So, but what other things kind of inspire you to, I don't know, ideas for your work?
Well, I would say maybe movies. I'm huge into movies, and I love movies. I love horror movies and anything that's a really good thriller. But when I say horror, I might like 10 to 20% of what's out there.
Yeah.
A lot of it just does appeal to me, but some of them just the ones that are just original and really good. Like, I think the one that's most recently that I just can't get out of my head is The Heretic with Hugh Grant. Wow, that was
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah, it's just a brilliant original story, and he does such a fine job in it, and it's so unnerving.
No, that's the kind of horrors that I like, not like the Chainsaw Massacre or whatever.
Right.
I don't mind the original, what is it?
Like Halloween or something, or.
Yeah, and then, there's just some, it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's run towards the killer.
I might watch those for fun.
Yeah.
For
They're
different
hilarious.
reasons.
A lot of times when I watch something in my head, I'm describing how their actions are, what they're doing. So
Yeah.
I can just kind of, I'll know how to write that when it comes to describing how something is.
Yeah.
I've put scenes in that I've from just watching human behavior. And
Yeah.
oh,
Exactly.
that's a good idea. I'll just write that down real quick. Just,
But definitely, I think that's what, I mean, I don't know, ideas just kind of pop in my head all the time. I'm always thinking, and it's very important to me to write something as original as possible. And it's impossible for everything to be an original story idea. But when you write it, hopefully it becomes original with your own voice.
Yeah, and
so,
I think that's what
obviously there's a million stories out there where, a man's daughter gets kidnapped, and they have to try and get him back. So.
Yeah, I just watched The Working Man, so.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I just watched that yesterday, so. Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of that, but when you go into writing it, hopefully you're making original characters and different original twists or different settings that ultimately, make the book original and make it entertaining.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot, and I noticed over the years, like, a lot of movies that come out, some of the baseline story is the same. It's got the same premise.
Right.
And then they just create their own thing. But it's like, didn't I just see this movie? But then it's something different. And, they add something to it. And it's, that's when, there's good writing behind it.
Yeah.
And there really needs to be. I mean, I've watched television shows that it's like, do writers talk to each other?
Yeah, I know.
It's like, what happened to that guy's mother? So it is very interesting. And I always, if I have to write, if I'm writing a sequel, I'll go back and read all of the ones that came prior to it, just so I make sure that everything's consistent. And I just don't understand that when you're being a professional writer.
Well, it can be tough. I remember writing one, it was Damaging 2, and this was really before I got with Reddit Publishing, so this one I published on my own. But I had a friend read it first, and then he wrote back and he said, "Well, what happened to that girlfriend he was dating?" And like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that character." So I went back in and had to write that in, but that's why it's good to always have a second set of eyes.
Yes, I had that one time I was writing, I wrote the end of one story and this couple had this child. And then the next one, I didn't remember that they had this child. And then they started talking about wanting to have another child. And I'm like, oh, they did have one. So, and I wrote it in that in the new story that the first child died from SIDS and they were trying to decide if they wanted to try again, So, it actually made for a really good storyline. Sometimes just errors in your thinking or it just makes it so much better.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
People talk about having like writer's block. I've never had writer's block. I've had a story block.
Yeah.
But not really. Like I can always write something, even if it's just in my head and my thoughts, it just helps me to put it on paper. I'm like, I own a million notebooks and I don't throw them out. Some are filled with ideas that I just wrote down and just never expanded on. But I think it's important to be able to express yourself. And when you can do it with writing and telling a story, and no, not just telling the story, but showing it. And that's what, when I was reading your books, and it was just, that's what I could see. I could see, for one, I could feel by reading it, the passion that you have in your writing.
Thank you.
Somehow I can pick that up with several authors, and then there's authors that I'm like, do they even care? You know, 'cause some try to be like perfect, like technically correct, but that doesn't make the story correct.
Yeah.
Even a nonfiction, you don't want it to be everything is technically correct. A story is a story, whether it's a poem, a true story, or something fictional. It's still a story. Our lives are stories. So.
Right, because and I think what happens is it's kind of a trap that maybe a writer is just too involved in the plot, getting the plot down, and not diving into the characters. And sometimes I have to check myself too, because I always come up with a plot first, but I also have to come up with a human dilemma in it, because it's not a story if you don't have some kind of human dilemma in it,
Right.
where humans can go through something and grow from it, or learn from something, or
Have it destroy them.
or it destroys them, or
Yeah.
whatever happens, and really, if you come up with the story idea and then you put the characters in, well, then you just think, well, what would he feel like going through this? What would he do going through this? And sometimes I don't know the characters that well until maybe midway through the story, or sometimes even further in. Then all of a sudden they take charge and they take the story in a different way or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I do end up going back, and I think the first chapter and some of the first stuff is always the most rewritten stuff for me.
Yeah.
Because now that you know the character, I like to go back and make sure that I'm weaving that in from the get-go.
Yeah, I've had where I've interviewed my characters just to kind of pull out, and I would think of how they would answer, so that way it would be a lot easier to give them I like to give them a little quirk, even if a guy or girl or whatever being is pure evil. I like to give them one little thing that you would not expect. I had one where I had this evil doctor who liked to do human experiments, and he never told anybody this until later on when he was trying to redeem himself, that he loved to watch Full House. Yeah. And here's this evil scientist, experimenting on humans, but he liked
because our villains are humans too. The first lesson I think I learned from a teacher was, she told me there are no evil people. There are your villains are not evil. They think what they're doing is right. So I always try to put that in my thought process. Like, okay, they believe what they're doing is right, even though it's completely wrong, and what they're doing is evil for sure. Yeah. But that character has to believe it, he's not going to just be evil just to be evil.
Yeah, and that's true when you think about humans, and not everybody, like from the minute they're born, oh yes, when I grow up I want to be a mad scientist, or I want to rule the world. But, then it comes out, and I think that having great backstories, it's really, it shows, okay, so why is this person this way? And I like knowing that type of thing. Why did this person become evil, or, just decided, oh, I was a doctor, but then I decided to do this, and I'm going to clone people or whatever. But
backstories are really important, and I find it sometimes difficult because I don't want to do flashbacks so much. Mm-hmm. Even though I think I did in this one a little bit, but it was really important to get the villains a backstory in this one, and I just pictured a young boy being thrown around from foster home to foster home, getting abused, and just growing up with a lot of hate.
And that is something that actually happens. So which it makes the story real. It's like my son and I, we like to watch movies together and shows, and we always have discussions. And he's so enlightened, and he's special needs. He's high functioning autistic, and he put his own bipolar in remission. And I must say I'm very proud of him. But we have these conversations about, whatever we're watching. And he's like, you know what about this is? He's like, it's sad because it actually could happen.
Yeah.
And that's or it's a good thing, either way, but the discussions are always coming up. But I want to thank you for being on the show. I really, I am so glad that we finally got to connect.
Yeah, definitely. You've always been there for me with my other stories, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome. Anytime you need me, even if you just want to chat or something, you can send me a note.
Yeah.
So thank you again. So if you wish for you or your book to be on the show, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast. Thank you for listening. Be safe, be well, and always be kind. Tune in here again next week for another tantalizing discussion. Thank you for listening to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast.